everyone, this is Amy with Pretty Precepts, and we're going to do a little bit of cloning today. One of our group members has a very interesting cloning challenge. There's somebody here in the photo that should not be here, and we've got this little cutie here on the ground. And the reason that this is kind of a unique cloning challenge is because of these lines right down here. Obviously, by cloning out this person, you also have to keep in consideration all of these lines that are down here. Everything has to be lined up just right. It's not like cloning with trees or cloning, the grass or the sky. It's something that you have to get just right. And so there's a couple things that we're going to do to make our job a little bit easier. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to crop the picture in just a little bit, just because this is a really large floor space area for our cute little girl here to be on the ground. And also by cropping it a little bit, it will take away part of what we have to clone, which is going to be really helpful in the end. So we don't want to crop too much because we want to make sure that when, say, she goes to order, like an 8x10, that she's still going to be able to have enough space to do that. Let's actually check that. So if we want to order an 8x10, let's see what it will look like there. So we'll still be fine with an 8x10. Perfect. So let's go ahead. We're going to go back to our, hold on a sec. Go back to our original. We'll take it in like we had it. Go up here a bit more. Okay. The other thing that's challenging about this, but that I actually think looks a lot better now that we've cropped it, is that these lines are not actually like straight up and down. They kind of go off just a little bit, so we can't use a straightened tool. We can't like rely on them being straight, so, or at least like straight up and down. So we're gonna have to rely on our eye for a lot of this. So this is the whole, we have to take out this whole section right here, which is gonna be easy to do. We just have to pay attention to what we're doing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna keep the opacity up, and then for the feathering, we're gonna bring the feathering down towards the middle. The reason why is because if you have your feathering up too high, then it won't cover as much space because it will be feathered out so much. And we don't really need that to happen in this situation. But if we have the feathering down over here, then it becomes a really hard kind of clone, and we're not going to need that either. So the size of our clone, I think this size right here should be about good. So what we're going to do is, if you can see where my circle's at, the outside line of that circle, we want to try, when we clone it, to match it up. See how I'm moving that circle along a line? We want to try to have that outside circle moving along a line when we are cloning, so that way we know where we're going to be taking the sample from. So what we'll do is we're going to I'm clicking down on the left side of my mouse, so I'm clicking down on that, and then I'm going to drag, and I'm following that line down as straight as I can. So that's not what I want as my sample, obviously. So I just click on that and I bring it over here, and I just move it around until I can find the space that I want. So I want it to match up. I tend to get a little bit quiet when I'm doing this just because I am focusing so hard on this. Okay, so those lines right there look good. But if you notice, this is a little bit darker than this. What we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to look at our feathering, okay? See how when we do that, it gets much darker. So we don't want that. We're going to come over here and we're going to go ahead and increase that feathering. Remember, I had it in the middle, so not knowing what I would need to do. So it looks like we're going to have that increased, which is totally fine. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over here and going to take my circle and I'm going to go down. Now I'm not going to do a big line here because this is going to be my sample area. Once I move up here, I don't have a huge sample area, so I need to do smaller increments. Obviously not her legs. So again, we come over here, we find our area that we should have. Okay, I'm going to try to find the right spot. Okay, it's good for this to overlap so that the coloring of it will look fine. Now I'm going to go from the bottom up to here so that again it will overlap. I'm going to go over here, come back over this way. Almost there. There seems to be one certain spot here that is wider than the rest in this section. Okay, we're going to go ahead and we're going to go right there. Okay, now up here, we're going to go right there. I'm going to try something different up here if this gives me a problem, but actually that section there works out really well. So you want to try to keep your feathering. This is where our feathering is happening right here. You want to try to keep this good so that this in here blends well with this section right here. Because if it doesn't, then it's going to leave it kind of, it's going to leave the coloring off just a little bit, and we don't want that. Okay, so now I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go up. Oops. Go up here again. Good. Okay, now come down here again. I think it's funny that it keeps going right over to our little girl here. Okay, we're going to go up. Let's check our feathering. I think that needs to be good, a little heavier there. And we've got a spot right here that we need to do. Okay, now with doing that spot, what I just noticed is this spot actually here looks better than up here. So I'm going to delete this and I'm going to follow that all the way up. we're just going to go all, oh, hold on. I just realized I can't do that. Well, maybe I can. Ha, I can. I'll tell you why I can in a second. I got to thinking, well, maybe I can't because it's going to be a different sample. But as I look over here, these look like they have some different woods mixed in with the texture and the color. And now we've got that over here as well. So it actually blends in quite nicely. So I'm actually really happy with that. So the only section that I see that I am not like super happy with is this part right here. So I closed it. I'm going to reopen it back up and I'm going to see which section it is that I'm not happy with. Is it? Okay, so we've got this piece right here. Let's see if I change. Okay, I'm gonna leave it like that. I think that that looks good. I think that looks about how I want it. So let's look at the before and after. So this is what it looked like before, and this is what it looks like after. Actually, there's one part here I see that I'm going to change. See how it has this right here and this right here? You want to always make sure that when you're doing cloning that you can't see like an obvious duplication of an area. So we're going to see if we can get one of these areas to not look exactly the same as the other one. We'll just move this over a little bit. It's actually the exact same thing. No, it's not because the other one arches. Okay. Move it up a little bit. Okay, there we go. Okay, good. Now it's not quite the same. So there you go. That's how we do it. That's, you know, that was kind of a harder cloning job because of all these lines and everything. But as you can see, if you break it down into smaller segments, and then it can totally be done. Almost any cloning job can be done in Lightroom. That's why I get so worked up when I see people saying, oh, send it to me, I'll do it in Photoshop for you. Well, that's great that other people can do it in Photoshop, but that doesn't teach you how to do it in Lightroom. So if you don't know how to clone in Lightroom, you need to learn how. We have so many videos on how to show you to clone in Lightroom, so you need to learn how to do it in Lightroom. And for those of you that know how to do it in Photoshop, please encourage group members to learn how to do it in Lightroom so that that way they don't become dependent on someone who can do it in Photoshop. Because I know it can totally be done in Photoshop, but like I don't know how to do it in Photoshop because I'm not a Photoshop editor. I edit everything pretty much in Lightroom. So this kind of stuff I know can be done in Lightroom. So challenge yourself and try to, you know, learn how to use the program so that that way you can do this yourself. So thanks for watching, and go out and create something pretty today.